It's Don here from the board. Thanks for coming along and checking out this video. So today's video is brought to you by Banggood and their 11/11 sale. Now the 11/11 sale is actually happening very shortly. We'll just have a quick look, and that's the details on their site. You can head over there and check out some bargains, hopefully. Now the thing is, with this particular video, Banggood reached out to me and said, would you like to review something for the end of the year? And I thought, what would be something I could have a look at that might be of interest to the keyboard community? And I was shopping with the family and we saw some stuff, then we were thinking about Christmas, and it got me thinking about what could I look at that might be actually useful for Christmas as a gift idea, if you're a mechanical keyboard person, that you could suggest to somebody, or if you wanted to get something for somebody who has mechanical keyboards. So as usual, everything that I get from places like Banggood, despite the fact that they provide it to me for review, everything that I say is 100% my opinion. So the good, the bad, the ugly. Alright? So what we're going to be looking at today is a keyboard case, and this is the item. It is the FBB mechanical keyboard storage bag, ABS shell, hard case 4, and then all these bunch of sizes. I actually reached out to them when they'd offered me to review something for this particular sale period, and I said, if you could you send me two of them, one in the small and one in the medium? But unfortunately they weren't able to do that, so they only sent me the one in the medium. So we're going to check out the medium, and you can see what the current price is. I don't know if the price will stay that way, if it's a sale price only, but with international shipping at the moment, potentially all over the shop, it might be a good idea to maybe get an order in early if you like what you see today. As far as pricing goes, this is quite comparable to other keyboard cases that you can currently get in the community. So I had a look around at the local Australian community, and it is similarly priced to what they offer. I don't know what it might be like for you in other countries and other places, but obviously do your research and consider it. So this is meant to be a outside ABS hard shell. The size for the medium is 38.5 by 15 by 5. Now I've got the box here, so you'll see the box and the size of it for the moment. I don't know if that is the internal size or the external size. So it's meant to look like this. Okay, so they're talking about internal size, not the external size, so we can have a look at the external size very shortly. It's got some straps. There's your zips. They've sticker bombed it just to show what it looks like, and they've put a keyboard inside to show you what it looks like. So it's meant to have some kind of velvet-like material inside. It uses hook and loop instead of elastic, and it's got some mesh areas so you can put your cables or any accessories, pullers, polished cloths, artisan cases, whatever it is you like. So it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. I'm going to say it's relatively affordable by comparison to other offerings already on the market. It's just a matter of if the size is going to suit what you're after and the look. But if you have somebody in your life that you potentially want to get something for Christmas, a keyboard case might actually be a good idea, simply because they might not like keycap profiles, the theme, the color, it might not match their keyboard. Switches is really tough because that's very personal and preference, and then you don't know how that's going to suit what they like. They probably already have tools like keycap pullers and switch pullers. Cables, once again, very personal. You'd have to know if it's mini, if it's micro, if it's USB-C, and so on and so forth. Whereas this at least is going to be pretty generic, I hope. We'll see what the quality looks like, and then you can decide on if it's going to be of any use for you. And of course, there'll be a link in the video description below. Right, so this is the box. I've just got a bit of fabric there to cover up my address because I couldn't really peel off the label very well. This is how they shipped it. It did not come in a satchel, straight up just a cardboard box with a shipping label. nothing to really tell you what's going on, so you're not likely to get someone to nick your contents. So they've taped it pretty well. We're going to cut it open, and hopefully it'll be okay. So I was actually talking about this with somebody the other day about how sometimes the stuff that comes from Banggood comes in plain satchels, other times it comes in the Banggood labeled satchels, which is really interesting. So must be wherever they... Oh! They actually provide you some stickers. I was totally not expecting that. You can tell by my reaction just then, but I just want to have a look at if these stickers are the same ones in the listing. They're not. They are totally not the same stickers. Okay, so you can see I've got a Pikachu, a sneaker, some kind of Korean Coke, alien. Whereas if we just quickly go back to the listing, they're not the same stickers. So that's cool. They actually give you some stickers. Well, I hope if you buy this, you'll get some stickers. If you do want to sticker bomb your keyboard. Hey, look, I've even got like a Dragon Ball one. A skeleton, okay. Alright, so there it is. There is the keyboard case. Alright, it's pretty light. Not too super light. And it is in the silver. So, as far as it goes for it being a hard shell, yeah, it's definitely a hard shell in the sense that it's just a thin bit of plastic here. The surface isn't really scratched up or marred. It is thin ABS. Like you can see like how much I can actually flex that by squeezing it. So it's not really that much of a deal. I would assume that that might be for like a label. If you had one, like a sticker label that you could possibly put in. It is only on one side, so that's kind of saying, well, maybe that's what the keyboard is. There's a bit of a blemish going on here, a bump there in the actual molding, so a slight defect, a little bit of a scuff there. Right, there's the carry handle. It's molded plastic on top of the strap. It doesn't move, so it's been sort of injected around that strap material. Seems okay. And there are the zips, just like the picture. One thing that I would say that would have been nice is maybe if they actually had a means to lock it. Like, look, if you had a really expensive keyboard, you're probably not going to leave it out of your sight anyway. But if you were going to be at a meetup or something like that, and you're potentially putting your keyboard on top of this, and you might have other bits and pieces inside that stays with the keyboard, having that locked just gives you a little bit more of a security in mind. So maybe that's something that they could think about. Okay, so the zip seems to be pretty smooth. Works all right. Now, before we get to the insides, let's have a look at the outside. So I've got an old school wooden ruler because metal ruler that I normally pinch from my wife's collection is somewhere outside. So I'm just using this big fat old wooden ruler, and the outside measures just on 41 centimeters from actual like edge to edge there, probably about 40 and a half, close to 40 maybe. It's not huge. And then if we go from that flat bit, we're looking about 17 and a half. Okay, and then in terms of the thickness, we're looking at about 4.5, close to 5 centimeters. So it's still quite compact. So that side up, and there we go. That's the inside. Now that velvet is whoa, that's really messing with the camera. Auto gain compensation is wow, that's really messed with the compensation. Can we bring it back? I'm sorry, my webcam really doesn't, the texture of the velvet is throwing it off. That's mad. I've never actually seen that happen. The sheen of the velvet is causing it to react really, really badly. I do apologize for what's happening here in the video. So there is 2 of these hook and loop straps. There is this velvet material. The padding is not adequate. It's very, very thin. Like, I'm just pressing it here. I'm going to say it's probably about 1.5 mil, maybe. And the top is thicker, but it's also really soft. Like, I'm putting no pressure on this, and it's just sinking right into the ABS hard shell component. Now, there's 2 pouches here, but did I see in the photo that it was it more than 2 pouches? Was it only 2 pouches? What does the picture show? 3 grids, mesh cloth. You can put, seriously, it says 3 grids, and no, it's alright, it's all good. There is no 3 grids here. So, somebody has obviously not paid attention to the internal design, unless the 3 grids is in a small version. But look, you're still going to get space, and it's just straight up open. It's not super, like, there is practically, like, it does bounce back, but it's not very elastic. So anything that you put in there actually has a risk of sliding out. If you have, say, your cable and it's in a pouch and the pouch sits in here, that's probably an actual safer bet than just having the cable straight in, because if that comes out, then you're potentially going to have it rubbing against your keycaps and your case and stuff like that. So I would advise that you might need to have or invest in, you know, a little pouch for each of these sections if you were going to use something like this. Okay, so that's a little bit mildly disappointing already off the bat, that the design is not intended and the foam is actually quite thin. So internal size, this is meant to be 38 by come on, 38 by 15 by 5. Okay, so we so 38, yep. Oh, you know, it is actually slightly less than 15. Like, 15 is really pushing it there. 15 is super pushing it. And as for 5, well, it's not 2.5 to the top of the hard rim, but if you include the zip, it'll be 2.5. So, you know, when they say 2.5, we're talking, it's really stretching it. I would not really call this 5. I'd probably call this closer to, you know, 4.5, if you want it to be comfortable and for it to not to be straining. So we're already losing points a little bit here. And I guess the other thing here is these straps are really wide. These straps are really, really wide. They're spaced quite far apart. I understand that, you know, that can help stabilize the keyboard that you're putting inside it. What I would have liked to have seen is maybe a third one across the middle. And these have no padding. These are just straight up the hard material of this hook and loop. So if you're going to put something there and it is potentially prone to scuffing and scratching, you're probably going to want to have an extra piece of foam or cloth that you could actually put around your keyboard so that this is actually not going to cause you any issues. Not doing a very good job of trying to convince you to buy this, because I'd rather you know about this than for me to try and sell you something and you to be getting upset about it. Now, if you can deal with that and you already potentially have your keyboard in just like a fabric sleeve, then there's no issue, because if the sleeve's not too big and bulky, at least that might fit in here. So they claim that this size, which is the medium, will support an 87 key keyboard with a keyboard length less than 38 centimeters. Now, a 87 key is a 10 keyless, right? So I went into my collection and pulled out an 87 key. So this is my Gamma K. the K87, and there you go. Wow, that saturation is really bright, and of course the camera is just going to auto compensate for that, but you might need to wear sunglasses. So it does fit. There is, you know, enough space to put my finkies in, my finger pinkies, one on either side. So I guess that helps if you have any side impact. It's not going to be directly hitting the keyboard. And on top and bottoms, I can't actually fit my finger in at all. If I slide it to one way or the other, then I might. But that's sitting on top of the hook and loop. So now I'm not too fussed about this keyboard getting scuffed, so I'm just going to go straight on it. And then with how tall this layered keyboard is anyway, I don't even think that you really need these straps, because by the time that you close, you know what? I'm wrong. There is actually a decent amount of space still above it. That is not a good... There is about a finger and a little bit of gap, you know, between the top of the keycap and this side of the shell. So, you know, I'll give this a proper strap down, actually depressing the switches. I know that might not be ideal for some people directly, but as I say, you probably want to wrap it or have a sleeve in it. Let's go to the side. And I've just discovered a major flaw in this case design. This is not going well for this case, because where are the zips? I didn't even think about it before. Your zips are on the bottom. Most people like to zip it in the middle so that it's convenient and easy. And wow, nice job. So I've just realized that there might be a plastic film on this, but I mean, I don't know if the film's meant to be peeled off or not, but just that, moving it around my desk has scraped and scratched the top film layer, which without it, it's definitely not as glossy. It doesn't look like it's a film I should be peeling off, because there's no ends of it, there's no tab, so that's not very good. This thing is just losing points all over the shop. And this is why I review stuff, so that you guys will know exactly what you're getting into if you get something like this. Okay, so let's keep going. So the zip, if you like to have your zips in the middle, it's on the bottom. It's directly opposite the carrying weight. If you're going to get something like this, I would say just bump your zips all the way to one side and only use one zip. It having two zips right now is not purposeful, and having both zips at least on the handle side when you zip it up is going to give you that better security and ensure that when you zip it up, you've actually zipped up, you're not going to lift it, and potentially, especially if you're not using the hook and loop, the keyboard's just going to fall out the bottom, right? Because that would just be absolutely disastrous. Okay. Look, it is bouncing around. I can kind of expect that because there's space. It's not bouncing around heaps, but I would be concerned because that is going to rub on stuff. So you're definitely going to want that extra padding and protection. Okay? Right, so we've established that a 10 keyless like the Gamma K is going to fit and it's going to have space. If you have something that's got really thick sides, you're probably going to want to measure it before you order this, because if it's not going to fit within 38 by 15, this is not going to be the case for that keyboard or those keyboards. Right, so let's put that away. So we're going to go down, and the reason why we're going to go down in size is because the strap placements, and I had thought about this when I was looking at the product and preparing for the video, because it tells you that it supports up to that size. Now the smaller size supports 60, 61, 64, 68, 78 and 84 because it's a smaller size, which means the straps are potentially smaller. But what happens if you have a small keyboard? Would it actually be so small that the straps won't support it at all, right? So here is the LK67. You can see it's much smaller. There is a lot more gap happening here, a lot more gap happening here. I can actually fit my fingers in. I'll strap this in. Hopefully my future funk inspired themed keycaps will be able to fit. Have to watch out for the rotary encoder here. Alright, so see, that's the thing. The bigger keyboard, there's not much space to move. On the smaller keyboard, that is going to happen, right? So now I've kind of, been generous in pushing all of that down. Vertically moving, can definitely feel it. Oh yeah, you can definitely feel that moving around. You know what? It's nice and tight in the backwards direction because the straps are actually holding it in place, but in every direction other than that, it's hurting me inside to feel it move the way it's moving. Right. Okay, so it's still in place. I mean, the knob there probably helped it, and I'm not seeing any marks on the plastic, at least not on the top, or any marring on the keycaps. Let's have a look. Anything there? No. No. Okay, so it's kind of survived that, but if you're not comfortable with it, you know what I'm going to say. Put a layer around it. Put in a sleeve, a bit of PE foam, a fabric, a cloth, a towel, something to give it that extra bulk and fill so you're not going to get that bouncing around. Especially if, I don't know, you have to walk a long distance to say like a meetup, or if you're running for public transport or something, you don't want your precious custom jiggling around. Okay, so this is a 67 key. So it's about a 65% kind of format. How much smaller do we go? So the only other thing that I've got that was readily available to me in my pile of boards was this, which is the Tinny prototype. It's a 50% with that top row, and well, as you can see, it's just on the strap length. And there's no keycaps on this, so we're just going to tuck that in. And you see my issue here. It's just going to fall potentially straight through. But we're still going to do it in the name of testing this case. If you're handy with a needle, you could possibly stitch an extra strap in, but it's going to be hard to do that because they've done it into the rim of this shell. There's this hard rim, and then they've put this bias. Well, I mean, I want to call it bias binding, but it's really just like the binding over the top of this. I don't even know what its real technical name is. I'd ask my wife later, but it doesn't matter. They've just put this bit over the top, and that covers up the stitching and I guess adds a bit of strength to it. If you're going to do it, you're going to probably struggle to punch it through neatly and sew it. So, you know, the only other solution left is pack it full of stuff, right? Wrap it, bundle it. I've said it too many times already in this video. So here we go. We're going to try and make this nice and tight. We're going to close this up and we're going to hope oh, that doesn't feel good at all. Oh, that also does not feel good at all. And that also feels really terrible because it's already shifted. Okay. See, I can't even open it like that because you have to put it down because you can't hold it from the top because then it's just going to fall out. And it's free. It's like I gave it a sock. It is free and it has ended up on top of the strap on this side and completely out of the strap on this side. So the moral of the story on this size is 50% and smaller, you 100% have to do something with it. If you're going to get a 40, if you're going to get a minivan or, you know, any of those smaller form factors, it's going to struggle because it doesn't have extra straps. Now if you're handy and I don't know, you can put some strapping maybe like as crossbar straps between these two, fantastic, that would work. Or, you know, if you actually use this as the anchor and you did, you know, like a cross strap, then that would probably work as well, right? Just giving you some ideas if you like to be handy. And I guess that would help if you wanted to personalize it too. But it's definitely, it's usable out of the package, but it has quite a lot of issues, especially if you're someone that's going to have an expensive keyboard. Now, of course, if you're thinking about getting this as a gift for somebody and you know that they've just got, you know, an entry-level cheap keyboard, it hurts me to say this, but it's probably going to be okay, because if it's going to have a plastic case and if they've got, say, stock keycaps and stuff like that, then it probably won't scratch up and damage. If they've got a custom and it's got, you know, anodization on it and they've got like really expensive keycaps, then you might want to invest in either a nicer case, or if you do want to get this case because you like the look of it, then maybe get them something that it can bundle inside as well. I don't know, get them a personalized monogram tea towel, or, you know, a soft plush terry towel or something like that, and that might actually suit them. Now this bit here is really bugging me, but it's just peeling really easily. Like I can scratch that with my fingernails. So a little bit disappointed. Let's just recap to wrap up on the video again. It's a clamshell without an ABS. It will give you some protection, don't get me wrong, like it's actually, you know, durable, so from knocks. It does have padding with this faux velvet type of material. It does have pockets, but not 3 pockets as the listing says it does. It does have hook and loop straps, but they're quite wide, so smaller form factor keyboards aren't going to suit very well. It does have the depth that it's advertising if you really stretch it, but you never want to be putting something in and squeezing it in that tight. And, you know, for better protection, because it's going to have that extra height in between the 2 hard shells, I would recommend having an additional padding material that will give it less move and shake while they're using it. It does have the issue that the zips should have been, you know, thought out a little bit better. Should have just been a single zip rather than a double, because then it forces you to go all the way around, rather than if you're in the habit of potentially being the type to like to zip and keep your zips in the middle. Would be nice if they did actually have a way of locking it. Other than that, and of course why the plastic is peeling so easily over here on this corner. I like the style, I like the concept of it, I just feel the execution could have gone a little bit further for how much you're going to be paying for one of these. Now, the price that you saw, I don't know if that's the lowest price that it'll ever go to. If it goes down cheaper because of other sales, or if you've got other discounts or coupons or credits, then it might be worthwhile checking out. At the price that it's currently advertised at, is this value for money? I'm going to say almost. It's not fantastic. It'll do the job, but if you're stuck for a present for somebody who's getting into mechanical keyboards, it's still something that you can consider. Just you need to know all of those facts and issues that come with this. So there you go. There you have it. Hopefully, this won't discourage Banggood for sending me more stuff to review, because obviously it's not ideal. But if you guys like this kind of stuff, then please hit that like button. And if you don't like it, I guess hit that dislike button. Any engagement will help. Give me your thoughts, comments below. Are you likely to use something like this? Would you put padding anyway? Are there any other ways that you can secure the straps inside for smaller size keyboards? And of course, if you're new to the channel, like this kind of stuff, and you want to support me, then hitting that subscribe button would be fantastic. Rightio, that is the FBB mechanical keyboard case, courtesy of Banggood. Links in the video description below. And, of course, as usual, until next time, happy clacking.